go to this link here to actually look at the documentations for Google Play services, especially on locations requests here. Right? So in here, you will have all the priorities, what are they, and so on. Okay, we are going to go through it now. So when we talk about accuracy, if you want the positions of the location data to be high, right, then your battery drain will be high. Okay, so what is the priority of your high accuracy, sir? If you put priorities high accuracy, your locations data will be the most accurate, right? Then we are actually using GPS, right, Wi-Fi or cell tower. But you have to remember, GPS will give you the most accurate position. Alright, next. So if you look at balance power here, so if you put priority balance power, okay, balance power accuracy, what if you provide to you is accurate location data. Okay, it may use GPS, but typically you will use Wi-Fi and cell tower. Right. So then if you set your accuracy to low, priority low power, so it relies on only cell towers. Okay, so 3. Now, one more. So no power, priority no power, receive location data from other apps. Okay, which means it doesn't call the locations data by itself, right? It's actually acquiring from other apps. But most of the time nowadays, very rare apps is going to use this priority. Okay, because we need their locations, and if you want other apps to access, it will take you. You are unsure of which apps you can actually acquire from. Okay. Okay. So now, if we take a look at the priority here, if we are talking about high accuracy just now, right? Positions, okay, most precise locations, and the hardware that we use is GPS, and of course the power that we use is always high, right? Then moving down, we have the balance power priority just now. What is the positions? We are talking about city block, about 100 meters radius. Okay, so this would be Wi-Fi or cell tower, but the power consumption will be low. And moving down, low power priority, it will be city level, 10 kilometer radius. Very big radius, huh? Because it will definitely use Wi-Fi or cell towers. Okay, and of course, just now we were talking about no power. Then this type of priority, we don't know the positions because it depends on the locations that are provided by the other apps. Okay, and you do not notice any hardware, and your power usage will be very minimal. Right? So you all need to understand this one and know how to distinguish the priorities, because when you go for final exam, right, there's such question, you can actually answer it using this concept. Okay, based on all this. Right, just now we were talking about accuracy. Moving forward, we are looking at frequency now. So we can actually set the interval using set intervals methods here, right? This is an interval to compute your location data. Okay, we use the largest possible value for background locations. Later we'll talk about background locations and foreground. Then we'll use small value for foreground. Okay, and secondly, we'll have this method here, set fastest interval. So this interval is to compute location data for other apps. All right. So interval of update could be achieved using these 3 methods here, right? Just now we talked about set interval. We'll set the rate in milliseconds. So the speed of update may vary, okay? Either fastest, slower, or no update at all. So you can set the interval like this, right? Then you have the set fastest interval. So it will set, what it does here, it will set the fastest rate, right? And it must be set to prevent UI flickers or data overflow. Okay. Then you have your set priority for frequency, right? This is for you to set the priority of your requests on the locations. Okay, so this is an example of how you can actually use it. Now, in your assignment, some of you, I advise you not to use maps, right? When you present it, I advise you not to use maps. But if you want to actually capture user location, you can still do so, right? And you can try to quote the example that you have in your what we call your slides here. Okay. Now moving on, latency. So there's one method that we can use for latency here is set max wait time. So what we use this for is to delay your location delivery. Okay, we set the interval, then we set a delay, right? So we set the value of several times larger than the set interval. So this delay will be bigger than your interval, right? The one that we set for frequency just now. Okay, so this is an example. Okay, so you can see here the priority is set to priority high accuracy, right? Max wait time is over here. So interval, this is the one that we use, right? Interval is 1 second, right? Fastest interval, milliseconds, and max wait time is 1 minute. So this is the delay. Okay, you don't have to scan this one out, doesn't matter. Right, so moving on to our first questions here. So identify a location model, accuracy, frequency, and latency suitable for each of the use cases. Right, identify a location model that we can use, right, in terms of accuracy, frequency, and latency, right, for mapping app, weather app, retailer app, and a fitness app. So when you say location models, right, you have to talk about accuracy, you have to talk about frequency and latency. Okay. So try this in your Google Jamboard. I'll paste it here. Okay, so I'll give you an example. If you're answering question A here, you will say a mapping app. So in terms of accuracy, do we need it to be in what priority? Highest? Right? Map, is it highest? Yes, right? A mapping. Right? Then, if we want it to be highest, then how frequent we want the location to be computed? More often, right? Because we want to know exact locations of the user. Right? Then what about the latency itself? How fast the location can be delivered? We need it to be fast, right? Okay, so you have to answer in terms of that way, not just saying that okay. So you can try with the B, C, and D. Yeah. How about the others group? What did you group answering? Okay, so let's go now. Let's look at the first one. So you say nothing accuracy must be highest because C fastest. Letter C, no letter C. Okay. So how about the others? High or near real time latency. Probably we can put low, yeah, instead of no latency here. Okay, because it's not possible for you to put no latency. So this one, what you can do with the latency, you can put the smallest value, but it must be closest to your interval as much as possible. The same goes with this one. The others are correct. 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 Okay. So B, a weather app. So when we talk about weather app, we need it to be very precise on the locations. Yeah. Very right. Because weather, you are talking about the whole area. So perhaps you just need it to be around city level, city block, right? So B would be moderate to high. I would say moderate. Okay. Okay. Periodic. Right. Okay. Moderate document model. So this one latency here. So in terms of latency, means that you can set a very big value, right? You can set a very big value, and same goes to here. This one low. You should change to higher, right? Because we don't need it to send the data very quickly. So we go for this one, C. A retailer app that notify users who are within proximity to a retail store. What do you think? Proximity. When we talk about proximity, means that you do not need a precise locations, but just maybe a block, 100 meter, or I don't think 10 kilometer will be okay. So you will use 100 meter. So 100 meter is which one? Okay, so if you look back at this one, if you're talking about 100 meter, we are talking about this one, balanced power priority. Okay. So, alright, you can see real time, okay. Latency low, alright. Sorry, true. Then how about this one here? Accuracy, balance, power, alright, good. You can see per minutes, latency low. Okay. Right, a fitness app that can track users' activity. So of course accuracy will be high, real time, and low, correct. Yeah. Because if let's say we are talking about tracking users' activity, you are tracking their joggings, their walking, right? So if you don't get their actual position, then you won't know what they're actually doing. I mean, how far they've really walked and so on. Okay, good. Thank you. So let's move on. Now, Android itself, they provide new Android location services, right? We have two. One is Android Emergency Location Services and also Android Earth Alert System. Okay, let's take a look now. So this is a new one. Do I have a video here? So.
You've heard the myth that animals seem to know when an earthquake is coming. Like there's some universal warning system the animal kingdom all subscribes to, telling them when to head for open ground. But people? We just keep doing what we do, hanging out under gaudy chandeliers or lounging under shelves of geology books in a library, completely oblivious, until we're right in the middle of it. So Android worked with leading seismologists to create earthquake alerts. As soon as a tremor is detected, an alert gets sent out to your Android device, giving you precious seconds to find cover or safer ground. After the quake, your phone sends feedback to help us learn more about quakes so we're even more prepared for the next one. Too bad animals don't actually get alerts, because now you can. Earthquake alerts, now part of Android. Your Android device can do some amazing things, but it can't pull your car out of a ditch, or save you from the mountain lion outside your tent, unless he's really into cat videos. But in an emergency, your Android can save something else, precious seconds. As soon as you call 911, your Android sends a signal that helps the good guys pinpoint your exact location. That saves seconds. So even if you're so cold you can't talk, just press the button to send an automated help message. That saves seconds. And if you don't speak English, your Android indicates what language you need. That saves seconds too. So help comes sooner and you feel safer and more secure. Because the data Android shares with 911 is never shared with anyone else. So first responders can save what's even more precious, you.
So these are the two new location-based services by Android. One is the earthquake, another one is location services, emergency. So, but two of this, it may not be too suitable for the earthquake because in Malaysia itself we rarely have this kind of situations. But if we talk about emergency location service over here, this one you may look into it, and if you want to, any one of you doing assignment that relate to emergency situations, perhaps you can see whether you can implement it or not, right? And of course, when you implement it, remember to tell your tutor when you present. Right, now moving on, we have location best practices. Okay, when we look at location best practices, we are looking at 4 items. So the first one would be remove your locations updates. Right, so when are we going to call the remove locations update? There's 2 places, when on start or on resume, or on pause or on stop. So these are the places where we can actually call for request locations updates, right? And then we also need to actually set timeouts. If you have location services, okay, first one, remove location update. Second one, coming in, set timeouts, right? So it has to depends on how long you want to set it, okay, based on these 2 methods here. So either you set expirations durations, okay, it's always in milliseconds, right? The same goes to expiration times. Then the third one would be batch request. So batch request here means that we are putting all multiple requests together. Okay, so this is only suitable for non-foreground use cases. Later you'll know what is foreground and background. Okay, so for example, if your location is compute every 10 minutes, right, you can set the batch like this. Alright, the fourth one, passive locations updates. So when it comes to this part, right, we are going to obtain your location data from another program apps, okay, if possible. Right, so moving on, last known locations. So current location equals to last known locations. We can actually set this up, right? And if we have some time during our lecture, I will try to touch on this one so that you know how to actually capture the last locations of the users. But this is just added knowledge for you. Okay, now move on. In your Google Play services, okay, how it looks like in your architecture. So this is an overview. When you have your device over here, right, your Google Play services will reach out to your Google API clients, right? And then from there, you will get your location services, map service, and other services from here. Okay, so when you are using Google Play service, you need to insert permissions to your manifest file. Okay, the permissions is asking for cross locations. So this one will allows an app to access approximate locations, and then you will return the locations with accuracy approximate equivalent to a city box. Right? And then we have find locations, allows an app to access precise locations, and of course we also have background, but this one is only for Android 10 and above, which is API 29. So the latest device only will be able to use this. So this is how we set the permissions in your manifest. So for Android 6 or higher, you can set it like this, cross locations. For Android 10, you can do it like this. Alright? So we have 2 types of location permissions. This is new one. One is foreground locations, and another one is background locations. So what it is, let's take a look at the first one, foreground locations. So when we talk about foreground locations, we are actually talking about 3 things, right? Where is the share locations, right? Once predefined period, whether it is visible of the UI, yes, visible, and do we need to show persistent notifications? Yes, because it's in the foreground. So foreground always means that something that user can actually look at, right? So then we have backgrounds. So when you share your locations, okay, it is a constant because it's running at the back, right? Whether it's visible or not, no, because it's running at the background, right? Showing persistent notifications, no as well. Okay, so this is the 3 things that separate between foreground and background locations. So when are we going to use foreground locations? These are the example. When we use a navigation apps, right? This feature allows users to get turn-by-turn directions. Right? That's why we need foreground locations. And within a messaging app, the features allow users to share their current location as well. So this is also called foreground locations. Right? How about background? Right? So example here, within the family location sharing app, the features allow users to continuously share locations with family members. So those of you already have a girlfriend or boyfriend, so you check your app, see whether you got this installed or not, right? Tracking. Okay, so and also for IoT apps, okay, it allows users to configure their home devices, okay, based on your locations. So this is all running at the background. Okay, without you knowing, your location is being set constantly. Okay. Right. So when it comes to foreground locations, right, you will need to actually declare a foreground services type of locations, right? But this is only for API 10 and higher lah, if you want to use this. Okay. Right. So move on. Okay. So when are we going to create our Google API client? It must be in your onCreate methods. Right, you have to declare a private link in it first, right? And this one is actually extending from fuse location provider client. Once you have this, then you can actually assign your objects, okay, saying that location.get fuse clients. Okay, so this is how you actually start your locations API client. So communicate with Google services. This is how we connect in on start. You see, each step that we do, right, you have to correspond to your life cycles. Okay, so this is the declarations in our onCreate, and then when we want to connect, it will be in on start. Okay, we already have our object here. Okay, then we say we want to do the connections. Then what are we going to do with it? Okay, so this part here is a boilerplate codes you can refer to, and then this is what you want to do with it. Okay, I'm just gonna skip this. Do you want to go through these questions here? Or you want me to skip it? So want to do the questions? Put your hand up. So skip your questions, put your hand down. Alright. Okay, we are finishing soon. We have 10 more slides to go. Alright, very quickly one. So now, what are the challenges that we face when we want to determine a user locations? 3 things, right? Multitude of location sources, user movement, and varying accuracy. Okay. So how does the location objects works? You can see here, we connect to location service, make a location request, right? And then from here, we're going to check whether the location has been changed or not. If yes, then we want to update the UI, right? If no, then we'll move on. Okay, we'll ask whether it is post or not. So this is the cycle of your location updates. Okay. Right, so of course, permissions, when we ask, is during runtime. We can move on this one. So Android 11 for API level 30 and higher, user enable background locations on a setting page. You can do this as well, right? But that is only on API level 30 and above. Okay, those who want to use locations services, right? You can actually use more data, location data, right? This is how you actually test your locations. So this is actually your DDMS. Okay, you can find this DDMS at the side of your emulator. When you run this, you can actually inject locations into your emulator or devices. Okay. Now, geocoding, this is a little interesting part. Okay. So as you all know, when you use your app, right? Okay. Of course, your apps currently, your 大UC apps, 大UNT app actually asks you to sign in through your Wi-Fi. Okay. But some, you don't even need to sign into their Wi-Fi, and they will know whether you are in the proximity of the campus or not. How? We are using geofencing for that type of applications. So geofencing means that they will sort of like fence the area, okay? And if you are in that area itself, the app will detect, get your locations, update, and if you are in that area itself, it will say that, oh, okay, you can sign in. Right? You don't even have to connect to their Wi-Fi to get their IP. Now your sign-in is all based on IP, right? Okay, so but for geofencing or geocoding, right, we don't have to. Okay, so this is geocoding. Right. So that one is geofencing, huh? Now geocoding. Geocoding actually is what we say converting a geographic locations to an address. Okay. So if you put Fenway Park and then we tell you what is the address is, and then we convert it to your geo coordinates. Okay. So the use case on geocoding. So geocoding APIs can compensate for ambiguous addresses, ones that is misspelled or inaccurate. For example, street address can change, address coordinates won't. Right? So geocoding integrates and aligns address information with geographic codes to verify the address. Okay. Now, have you all used Foodpanda? Have you all used Foodpanda? There is one period of time where they have problem with their addresses. I'm not sure whether you realize it or not. Okay, when you type in the addresses, it won't match. It just won't match. Alright? So it's because of their geocoding part. Okay, but I think now okay already. Because of this thing, I didn't use Foodpanda already. Alright? So you see, if you're geocoding, you didn't do it properly, right? You will have this kind of errors. You cannot convert properly. So if you type like UNT and then suddenly it sends you to Kampang. Okay? So possible errors are no location data provided, invalid latitude or longitude used, no geocoder available, or no address found. So this is the Foodpanda's problem that when they use geocoding. Okay, so I guess you will skip this one, but we're already at the end. Now, so but I want you to try and do the review questions now. Okay. The best way to ensure the accuracy of location-based services is to test your app using a real device. Comment this statement. If no, then what else can we actually use? The best way to ensure the accuracy of location-based services is to test your app using a real device. It depends on what you want to test on, right? If let's say you are testing on whether you are using your detecting a Wi-Fi or cell towers correctly, then yes, real device. Okay, but you just want to make sure that your locations of that device is being set, right? Then you can actually use the mock locations, right? The one that we sent to our emulator. Okay, number 5 here. Location awareness is one of the unique features of mobile devices. Discuss how these features could be utilized to enhance user experience. Use a suitable example to explain your answer. Alright, can you all try this? Let me just see how you answer these questions. No need just the class type one, you can answer here.
这个 symbol 是什么意思
subset
哦，它就是讲
subset 就是 less than or equal to。
less than domain
这 should be 用等于的，我们每次都用等于的。
现在就觉得它很乱，should be 那个
就它这边我每次写是用等于的。
domain 等于
啊，我找你啊，我们tutorial 也是用等于的，不为什么是用 subset？
还是它的意思是讲这个是它的 subset， 都是等于 Pokemon。是讲看 Crush 吧 ，Pokemon 应该是 Pokemon 应该是 primary key 嘛，对不对？
因为啊，这个你写这个啊，你是不是属你的这个 step by step 吗？你这边 Pokemon， 然后 Power， 因为你 Power 这边是 Pokemon 是它的那个 ID 啊 domain， 所以有 domain 的就这个 Power 等于一样有 domain 的就是 code by 就 code by domain Power 还有写。
它就是从就是这个是 domain， 然后这是它的range。
啊，正常来讲就是好像我这个我用跑 Pokemon 做它 domain， 或者也是用 Pokemon， 所以我两个都会等于。就 Pokemon 等于 domain Power 等于 domain cos。
可是还是写倒反哦，因为我记得我们是像你讲的嘛，我们是 domain Pokemon， 然后才。
看你那个3个，正常是这样子。
因为我记得它 domain 在最旁边的吗？
最主要是这上面。
所以我觉得看，因为它这个它是网，就讲我们本来是。domain 在旁边嘛，现在 domain 在最后一个。
因为你 subset 哦，它是你写在前面的是小过等于后面那个。
哦。所以其实都是一样的话，如果我们final
这个是另外一个写法。
它有2个，那如果我们到时候写这样子应该是可以的。可是如果还是这样子的话，就我们学一个这样子的方法。
我们用自己的会比较好。
怕等一下不给。
除非它特定的语序要这样写，不然就是用普通的。
就用 subset 就用这个。哦，其实是一样的，只是这个是小到大，这个是大到小。压力有这个。
因为其实那时候我问过有另外一种写法，老师讲是把你是而已。
哦，就这个啊。
应该是他应该是讲这个。
所以正常也是 Pokemon， domain Pokemon， 然后到 range， 还是 domain。
我们你range的话是，好像我这个 medi type， 跟这个，因为我其中一个我的 domain 不是 medi ID， 我是这个的话，我就看它的动跟谁的range 匹配到。像 medi type 我就讲它 length of medi type is same equal to 的，写错 domain of medi type。
就是如果它的 domain 是别人的 range， 然后我要写 range。我觉得奇怪，就那时候还写是 range， 真相大白了。像那个 range 100的 domain 是。
do? Are you okay? Right. So here, we have an answer here. It allows the users to know where they are, and they can use these features to navigate to their locations using the best path. Alright, for example, Google Map applications on smartphone. Okay. How about this one here? Location awareness can be utilized for traffic status, locations of live events, as well as signal, enhance user experience in a way to provide convenience. Mobile apps such as travel apps can use location awareness. Right, this is a very good answer. Okay. So location awareness can let users know the surroundings, such as give notifications for user if the surrounding have equipment. Okay. So you get this very quickly, yeah? Right. Okay, let's go back here. Any other questions? Okay. So mychild.com is a company that provides child tracking system using the global positioning systems. Due to some limitations of GPS, the company is looking for mobile solutions to better link its existing tracking technologies with mobile technologies. So describe 3 limitations of GPS. Suggest and describe the technologies to overcome the limitations of GPS. So what is the limitation of GPS? High power consumptions, and then cannot work in indoor. One more. Slow. Okay. So how do we want to do this? Suggest and describe a technique to overcome the limitation of GPS. So this one actually, the question is still not that clear, right? The GPS we are talking about is the devices, okay, on the child, right? So here, what we can do is we can actually set apps on the phone to be carried by the child itself, and then we'll run background locations, okay? So these background locations will actually help you to in constantly tracking where's the child at. Right, so that's all for today. Any questions so far for location services? No? So we have 2 more chapters to go. Right, once we are done, then we can actually go through the questions again. So I'm gonna put your replacement, right? I still owe you all 1 replacement class, right? I'm gonna put it on Saturday.
Online
Online, right? Eh?
Online sir. Online.
Right. So it depends, because I want to use a slot just in case some of you may not be able to finish your presentations, then we can use those slots as a presentations. Alright? Don't worry about the attendance. Okay. Now, that's all for today. This is your attendance code. You may sign in now.
那2个小时我们去内卷。
Okay, you may sign in now.
上我的脸。
Okay, if you do not have any questions, you may dismiss now. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you in your practice.